What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of JK Sports. It's Kevin Humphreys, it's Jack Feldman. Jack, it was a crazy weekend of college football. We previewed that Thursday, and we were right. This was one of the most electric weekends of the year. It was the third weekend of October, so we had Alabama, Tennessee, we had Notre Dame, USC, we had Texas Tech losing, we had Vanderbilt getting a win, yesterday we had Miami falling to lowly Louisville, who isn't so lowly. But Jack, let's start with the Royal Blue, man. Let's start with BYU Utah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What a game, honestly. Just from top to bottom, if you just like football, this is just the classic type of football game that you just love to see. Nothing really stood out, honestly, but it was from top to bottom just a great football game overall. Obviously, I'm a BYU fan, and so it was good to see them come out on top. But I have a few notes to talk about. The first thing is LJ Martin, and I just think he was absolutely perfect in this game. And I don't know what you think about him, but maybe you give me some thoughts on LJ Martin before I kind of lose my mind on him a little bit.
Dude, so LJ Martin, I mean, we've seen it all season. He's clearly BYU's best player. I don't even think it's debatable. Definitely offensively, potentially the entire team. Like if he's not an NFL draft pick at the end of the season, I'll be really surprised just because he has an ability to he sees the game so well. His vision is second to none in the country. At the same time, we saw like Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price for Notre Dame playing, and they're more explosive than LJ is, and they have like a fifth gear. But what makes LJ so special is that no matter what happens, when you give him the ball, you can bet your life that he's going to get you 6 yards. And when you have a weapon like that, you can be competitive and beat any team in the country, and you can control a rivalry game, which is what BYU did for I would say 45 minutes because of LJ Martin.
Right. And so that's exactly what I wanted to point out for LJ Martin, especially in this game. I felt like he made every single right decision on every single play for BYU tonight. Whenever he got the ball, he went north and south. He didn't mess around. He didn't try to juke anybody out. He was going north and south, which tired out this Utah defense. And then in the fourth quarter, you saw the difference between his runs, Bear Bachmeier's runs. I mean, the run game was just essential in the second half due to LJ Martin just going north south, putting the head down, lowering the shoulder, and hitting people on his way down. And then the biggest thing that I think everyone overlooks is the fact of how well he pass protects. Anytime Bear Bachmeier was dropping back, he picked up a key block, especially in that fourth quarter when Bear Bachmeier eventually ran it in for a touchdown to go up 10.
Yes.
LJ Martin, I could have counted three massive blocks on three different plays that if any other running back was in the backfield, those plays might not be happening. And so that's just another massive thing that I think NFL scouts will see with LJ Martin that will allow him to skyrocket up on draft boards.
Right, 100%. Like LJ is like we've said, BYU's best offensive player, and he was the key cog, I would say, in beating Utah today. I think it wasn't the game of the weekend, but it was definitely the game of the slate for sure. The physicality on both sides of the football was just awesome to watch from start to finish. I mean, everyone said it all day. There's rivalries and then there's hated rivals, and BYU and Utah, those are hated rivals. Man, I've been back and forth on how good I think this BYU team is, Jack, but today I think they showed that a lot of people were doubting them coming into today, saying that 15 was fraudulent and they hadn't played anybody. And I agreed with that they hadn't played anyone. I 100% agreed with that. And they came out and they showed that they were the more physical, the more tough, the more mentally sound team, mentally tough team. I mean, we saw Utah players losing their minds on penalties throughout the game. I know eventually it kind of evened out and Utah got a bunch of help at the end. Um, but to me, this was BYU's statement game for the rest of the season. Obviously, you know, the Big 12 is wide open because of some other things that happened today. But Jack, outside of LJ Martin, what was your biggest takeaway from BYU's win against Utah?
I got two other takeaways before I hit my finale, but um, the first thing is our defense is good. BYU's defense is really, really good, especially with Jack Kelly in, because I saw a massive difference between them playing Arizona last week. They did not get to Noah Fafita probably like three times. This game, BYU got to Dampier in the second half at will.
Yeah,
And so that's what I think the difference is with this defense is when they have Jack Kelly on the field, this defense is just something that you do not want any part of. And it all starts with
100%.
that Jack Kelly, Isaiah Glasker, now Sarah,
Yeah.
Satuala. I
Whew.
mean, you can just keep going down the list. And every single hit, it's like a car crash out there. And so that's the biggest takeaway I had is this defense, they're good. They fly around, but also when you get hit, you're going to feel it for the
Yeah.
next couple quarters.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, like you said, they made Utah's offensive line that's been shoved down our third. It's been shoved down our throats all season about how good this Utah offensive line is, how good their tackles are. And Jack, I don't know about you, but I saw Spencer Fano in the fourth quarter getting completely worked by multiple guys. It was Jack Kelly sometimes, but it wasn't just Jack Kelly that was getting pressure on Dampier. Like Utah's offensive line, Utah ran for 200 yards. A lot of that was like Dampier scrambles and stuff. But like BYU, I thought this was the big concern coming into the game was would BYU's be able to dominate? Well, not dominate, but would BYU's defensive line be able to hold up against Utah's offensive line? And they did. They 100% held their own. And we saw that come into play on all the fourth down stops. Utah was one of four or one of five on fourth downs. Crazy that they just don't have a kicker, I guess, because I think in a low scoring rivalry game you would have opted to take points multiple times. So obviously there just must have been zero trust in the kicker to even make any of like the short stuff inside the 20. Like that was crazy to me. BYU definitely, took advantage and got stops on fourth down. And, they albeit frustrating at times, they weren't able to handle jet sweeps for whatever reason. Just brutal. You can dive a little bit more into that.
Yeah. I mean, that was my other takeaway. If you want the blueprint to beat Utah this year, it's they really have two things that work for them. It's the jet sweep and it's the QB run. If you're able to stop those two plays against Utah, you have a very high chance of beating this team this year because we saw it against Texas Tech. We saw it today. Dampier cannot throw the ball downfield. He has a very low percentage when he has to throw it 15 plus yards downfield. And even
Especially
today,
not with play action.
right,
Like
right.
like
If
he's
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 just
good out of play action, but if he's just like straight drop back, he can't dice you up.
no. And these passes today, they weren't even close.
Yeah,
Like there were quite a few downfield passes where he threw it 3 or 4 yards out of bounds, where he threw it 3 or 4 yards past the receiver. I mean, so that's the key to beat Utah this year is they probably ran like 15 jet sweeps.
yeah,
And then they ran their quarterback 20 plus times between both their quarterbacks.
right.
And so if you're able to hit if you're able to hit Dampier and make him uncomfortable, start making him hurt, that's when you're going to get this Utah offense in a lot of trouble this year.
100%. Like we've seen, Utah kind of feels like, you know, some people looked at them as the team to beat coming into the season. I never felt quite that way. I thought they'd be solid, but Utah showed that they're just not. The offense just isn't good enough in the big games, like against Texas Tech. Texas Tech left the door wide open, and all they had to do was go on like one offensive drive, and they could have easily won that football game. It got out of hand late, but that was more so just the wheels came off than it actually, like Texas Tech actually just like dominating, right? Um, but yeah, like Devin Dampier puts up a lot of balls for grabs. Like we saw Tanner Wall come down with one. We saw Trey Alexander almost come down with one at the end of the game that would have sealed it. The Utah tight end, I think that he was covering, just made a great play and took it from him. But like Dampier's going to put him up for grabs, and there's not a whole lot of like consistency and precision, I would say, to their offense. BYU took advantage, like especially like Jay Hill, which there's going to be at least probably two more coaches fired tomorrow. Like there, a school would be crazy not to give Jay Hill a ginormous bag to come be their head football coach right now because look at what BYU's defense was 3 years ago. One of the worst in the country, couldn't stop anyone. Iowa State put up 45 points in 3 quarters on him a couple years ago. And now we just have NFL dudes everywhere. Isaiah Glasker, Jack Kelly, you know, maybe Tony Vasa's an NFL guy. He's really struggled this season, but he has the measurables. Like a lot of young guys in the secondary, like Satuala, could be just a phenomenal safety, hybrid, nickel, linebacker, whatever you want to play Satuala at. He can do it. Like he can do everything. Trey Alexander is a sophomore and he's starting for BYU. Like BYU just has dudes all over the field right now on defense. So, man, it's tough, Jack, because I want to like after they beat Utah, I'm like, oh man, BYU is like they're the team to beat in the Big 12. But then if you look at their upcoming schedule, you have at Iowa State, at Cincinnati, and at Texas Tech still left on the schedule. So as much as I want to hit the gas, personally, I'm pumping the brakes, especially next week, because I know that emotional hangovers, especially in college football, are possible. Look at what Texas did today. Um, but yeah, like outside of this game, what is possible for this BYU team?
The sky's the limit, honestly. And with the Texas Tech loss, BYU is very much in the position to get that playoff bid from the Big 12. But like you
Right.
said, it's the Big 12, and there are so many different ways the Big 12 can go. We saw it last year with the three-way tie, and we're going to see it again this year because we got,
Right.
I think, 4 3-1 teams in the Big 12 right now. And then we got Cincinnati and BYU at top with 4-0. They're going to be playing each other. BYU has to play 2 3-1 teams still. It's not even close to over for the Big 12,
Right.
and BYU can easily finish 8-4, 9-3, but they can also finish 11-1. And so that's the beauty of this wide open Big 12, and I absolutely love it because Utah can still make a run and become that playoff bid because they can make the playoffs still. They can still make the Big 12 championship. I still think this Utah team is a very good team. They just need to sustain offensive drives better than they did today, better than they did against Texas Tech. So then their defense can really play as hard as they can for all
Right.
4 quarters. You didn't see that today. It's the same reason why they lost to Texas Tech in that fashion. But my main point is the Big 12 is just wide open, and there's still 6 or 7 teams that can win this league, which is so fun.
Right. You go through BYU schedule. It's at Iowa State, at Texas Tech, home versus TCU, who did have a win against Baylor today. They've struggled so far this season, but did have a nice win against the Bears today. And then you're on the road at Cincinnati, who's the other 4-0 team in the Big 12, and then home versus UCF. I mean, I think BYU realistically, if everything goes right, they finish 11-1 probably. I don't look at this BYU team and think that they've separated themselves from, and any of the top tier Big 12 teams. But like outside of, an occasional Bear Bachmeyer freshman moment, like they just never make mistakes, and so they're always going to be in football games. Um, but like I realistically see this team going 10-2, and if as long as they come out on the right side of the tiebreakers, 10-2 easily has them in the Big 12 championship game. 11-1, there's no way they're not in, but 10-2, they're probably in, and it's just crazy to see what Kalani Sitake is doing at BYU because I mean he's turned this program like what we saw today was just a culture win more than anything. Like BYU just wins with culture, like and it's a special culture. Obviously, we both graduated and are fans of BYU, so but it's just different. Like Kalani's a different dude than like any other head coach in college football, and it's awesome to see a guy like him have so much success.
I, I 100% agree with that. My one last takeaway from this game is consistency in play in reffing. I could not stand the fact that BYU or Utah would get a flag in one possession, and the next possession we see a near identical play happen and nothing's called. And
Right.
then in the fourth quarter, in the last drive, something even lesser happens and they throw a flag. And so all I ask is for just consistency from reffing. I don't care how you call it, I just want consistency.
You won't
If you
find
let
that in the
something
Big
go,
12.
if you let something go one possession, let it go for the whole game. If you're going to call something, call it for the whole game. And so that's the most frustrating thing that I saw in today's game and just overall in
Right.
college sports. Obviously refs aren't going to be perfect, but it is frustrating for both fans. I'm not just saying this as a BYU fan. I 100% agree on the call that we had a few times on defense. We did hold, we did do everything that was called except for that
Yeah.
last play. But um I just want consistency all around, which they did do. I think they did a great job in this Utah BYU game, except for that last drive. But honestly, it didn't
Yeah.
matter that much. But all in
Well,
all, I
if you ask
mean,
Kyle Whittingham, he would say that it was 6-0 after the first
true.
half. So,
That's true.
I'm sure Utah fans are drinking their sorrows away somehow tonight. Um, you know, whether they blame the refs or bad coaching or just having zero field goal kicker. Look, they can try and come up with an excuse however they want, but guess what, buddy? It's 3-0. It's 3 out of the last BYU's 3-0 since 2021. Haven't lost a game since 2019, so
We are undefeated ever since I've been a student against Utah.
let's go.
So that's a
Let's
fun
go.
fact about us. So but yeah,
Let's
let's get
go.
going on the rest of the slates from today. What was the other big game that really caught your eye today?
There were there were so many big games that happened today. Honestly, I think we have to go back to yesterday though. I think yesterday is where it all started. Let's start there and then work our way back up um, to the other games that happened tonight that were, you know, high like marquee matchups and but didn't have insane like endings really. So we'll start Louisville, Miami. Carson Beck showed us who I think he truly is. A guy who does not he just he just doesn't see the game at a high level. He can make the throws, but he's erratic and he's been erratic this season, but he's kept it mostly under control. But against Louisville, he was just throwing the ball all over the yard and had no idea where it was going. I mean, the amount of times he was just throwing it and the defensive linemen would just put their hands up and tipped it. I think he probably threw 4 or 5 balls that were tipped at the line of scrimmage. He was bad yesterday, and Miami was coming off of a bye week, Jack, and they looked like they hadn't prepared for the best team left on their schedule, and potentially, in my opinion, outside of Notre Dame, I think Louisville's the second best team that they've played so far this season. Right? Like
Hmm.
Florida, bad. Florida State, bad. Notre Dame, good. Notre Dame's good. Uh, but like they hadn't left the state of Florida, still haven't left the state of Florida. I don't think so. I think we saw Miami, Carson Beck, Mario Cristofrod. They showed us who their true colors were. That doesn't mean I think they won't, finish the ACC 11-1 or whatever. But I was waiting for this moment because it was too good to be true for Miami fans, and they were gonna let one slip. And I love that it happened to Jeff Brom because Jeff Brom is the most underrated coach in college football, Jack. He he made Purdue a winner. And we've seen how bad it's been at Purdue since he left and how bad it was at Purdue before he got there. Louisville, should have beat Virginia. They should be the front runner for the ACC. They're not. But like he can coach quarterbacks. I don't think Miller Moss is anything special. But like he coaches circles around every other coach in the country for the most part. The only reason his teams lose is because sometimes Miller Moss does really stupid stuff against Virginia and just is throwing picks like nobody's business. But man, Jeff Jeff Brom is like if there was a guy, obviously he's not like a high level like Power 5 like recruiter, I would say. But like if you're just an average P4 team and you need a coach to come in and make your team a 9-10 win season, Jeff Brom is at the top of the list.
No, I definitely agree. The biggest takeaway I had from this game is really the same thing as how underlooked Louisville has been this year, but also the fact that anytime I think somebody is legit, they end up losing that week. That is
Right,
my takeaway because
right,
I've said it about with like 3 other teams I've lost. The same
right.
week I said that they're looking really good. And this is the same thing that Miami just did. And so I don't know how many more times I can just tell somebody that they're legit without having them lose. And I think Ohio State's time is coming because I've just been saying them for the last few weeks.
I think Ohio State's immune to it, unfortunately.
Hopefully they are because I want to be right about one of them. But yeah, the four interceptions are just inexcusable to a grad transfer.
Yeah.
He's been playing college ball for years. Like to throw 4 interceptions in the same game at home, it's just inexcusable. And
Right.
even if they won this game, they should not win that game, turning the ball over 4 plus times. So that was my biggest takeaway is, I mean, if you're throwing 4 picks, you're not going to win against
Yeah.
anybody.
Yeah. Also, quick note, Chris Bell, Louisville's wide receiver, was incredible.
He's legit.
He's big and fast. Like he caught that last touchdown ball and I was like, okay, he's gonna like, run it for like 10, 15 yards and get caught from behind. But apparently, a guy that big can run that fast. Like, I mean, he did the Chad Powers. He thought fast and ran fast. Uh, it was incredible. I mean, that was one of my favorite plays of the entire weekend was his touchdown. And just to make a little parallel for you, Jack, I believe it was last year that Carson Beck had four. Georgia had four turnovers against Ole Miss last season, and that was probably Carson Beck's worst performance as a Bulldog. And it was just so fitting that it happened again this same weekend. So
Yeah.
love the parallel, love the simulation that we live in. As a staunch Carson Beck hater, my weekend got started off great. Um, another game we'll touch on that happened yesterday really quick. Apparently Nebraska just sucks. Maybe not sucks, but like okay, I'll give you two options. Nebraska and Dylan Raiola just aren't who people wanted them to be this season, or Matt Rule's already accepted the Penn State job.
I mean, in my opinion, I think it's the Nebraska overhype just
Yeah,
because of the fact that Raiola looks like Patrick Mahomes. And that's all it comes down to, in my
not
opinion,
yesterday.
is right. Well, I'm just saying the look-alike.
Yeah,
Everybody
no, no,
thinks,
no.
oh, Nebraska's good because they got Patrick Mahomes Jr.
Yeah,
Just because they look the same. I mean,
yeah.
it's just crazy to me the fact of what narratives will put on people when in reality they're probably not that great. And so I think that's the real story behind Nebraska is maybe they're really not that good. They just have a look-alike to somebody that is one of the best quarterbacks to ever play this game.
I don't think it's I mean he's super talented, obviously. Like you want to talk about like arm strength and arm angles and like just how big he is and like all of that. That's great. But like for most of the season his average like air completion percentage or yards was, like 3 to like 4 yards a completion. So a lot of screens, a lot of the short like check down stuff. When he does air it out, you never know where it's going. He just he and he's not as bad as Jackson Arnold because no one's as bad as Jackson Arnold, and we'll get into that game in a minute. But he just sits in the pocket, has no pocket presence, and he'll just get sacked. And
Mm-hmm.
especially like in situations where you can't get sacked. And especially in a day and age where like as long as you don't have a negative play, like you're probably gonna score like 30 points a game if you can just avoid negative plays. But he just has so many negative plays that they just outweigh the positives because they're just not on schedule. They scored 6 points against Minnesota, and their defense, which we've kind of figured out was a paper tiger before this weekend, like just gave up 24 points to Minnesota. It was never close. I turned it off halfway through and went to the gym because I saw everything I needed to see. It was a team that looked like their head coach might be focused on a different school and a quarterback who, you know, sometimes I look at him and I'm like, man, he's going to be the consensus number one overall pick in 2 years. And at other times I'm like, yeah, he's just not going to get drafted.
Yeah. I mean it really is. I feel like those are the two different Raiolas are you going to get? Are you going to
Yeah.
get the first round Raiola or are you going to get the guy that shouldn't even be playing football right now? And
Yeah.
so that's really what it comes down to. But someone that I do think should be playing football and will be playing football for a lot of years to come is that boy from Vanderbilt.
Oh
And
my
we were right
goodness,
about
Jack.
this one.
We were
We
right.
were right about
One of
this
the
one.
few times we can say we were right.
Hey, we'll get better at it, but we got this one right on the dot.
Yeah. I mean, Diego was fantastic today. Vanderbilt has just solid dudes all around. Like the thing that surprises me when I look at Vanderbilt is that they're not like when a team like Vanderbilt gets good, it's usually because they're doing like, something tricky or like their scheme
Hmm.
is like super different. And it is like Clark Lee and Diego like that they run like a unique scheme as far as like X's and O's goes. But like it's not an air raid. They're not doing like the Mike Leach Texas Tech deal. They're not doing like a triple option or like run and shoot or anything like that. They just like line up and they hit you in the mouth and then they just keep hitting you in the mouth. And the line of scrimmage is awesome. They really made LSU's defense look silly today. I buy I think LSU's defense is really good. Their offense stinks, and that doesn't help them one bit. But what Vanderbilt did to LSU's defense today, you look at the stats on ESPN, apparently they have a 45% chance to make the playoff. After today, I think it's higher. I think it's higher. I think they played Alabama, the third best that any team has played Alabama this season. And they legitimately could be a playoff team, especially after, some of this SEC garbage that we had to watch today.
100%. I mean, I don't know how many times you can overlook this Vanderbilt team and keep saying that they're not good at football when
Yeah.
in reality they're really good at football.
They're a top 10 team.
Oh, they are a great football team, and I think they've played their hardest stretch already. I mean, you got Missouri next week at home. Could be tough. You
Okay.
got at
Like that at
Texas.
home.
Yep. So I think they'll beat Missouri at home. The Texas one on the road is going to be a tough one. And then you got Auburn at home, Kentucky at home, and then at Tennessee. So in reality, they should lose one or two more games
Yeah.
potentially. And like you said, I mean, maybe that is going to be enough to give themselves a chance at this SEC championship, which is something that I'd
Or
never
just the
think I would say in
playoff.
my life. Or just
Like,
straight up the playoffs.
could they be the 12th best team in college football?
Yes,
Like,
they could.
I don't think it's that outrageous to say that they were ranked what coming in today. So, and we know the AP poll is like, but it's at least like a good like consensus overall of what people think a team is. Like, and for the most part, like the playoff committee is pretty much the same as AP poll voters, at least beginning. So like, I think Vanderbilt's probably going to be ranked in the top 12. They'll probably they'll probably be in like the top 12 as long as they keep winning, even if they lose a close one to a solid team. Like Vandy's a team that which would be awesome. I think it's maybe the greatest story not ever in college football, but if they're able to make the playoff after, being the SEC doormat for 20 years, it's going to be, you know, it's going to be impossible. It's impossible not to love this team.
Right, right. And one quick more thing on Vanderbilt. I think looking ahead, that last game against Tennessee is going to decide who makes the
Yeah.
playoffs between those two teams. Because I think that Vanderbilt will drop one before Tennessee, and then when they play Tennessee, Tennessee is going to be a playoff team at the
Where's
time that
that
they
game?
play. It's at Tennessee.
Okay.
And so whoever wins that game is going to take that spot because I think Tennessee will already be in when that game is happening. But if they go lose to Vanderbilt, who will be 10-2 if they end up where I think they will be, if they beat that Tennessee team, I think they take that spot from Tennessee, and Tennessee loses out on the playoffs.
Dang. I mean, no, I mean I can definitely see it
Uh,
happening. We'll get
we are
into
getting a little ahead of ourselves, but that's how good Vanderbilt is this
yeah.
year. Is they can be playing for not just pride for
Yeah.
probably the first time in their existence.
Honestly. Yeah. Um anything on LSU?
I mean, not really. I feel like they're just going to be middle of the pack SEC
Yeah.
again. A good football team, really, really good football team, but you've lost too many times already.
Yeah.
So it's just not going to
Nussmeier,
happen for
man,
LSU.
I feel bad for that
Not the
guy.
guy that I thought he was going to be.
I honestly today I thought he was incredible
He
today.
was.
I
He
thought
played
he had
really well today.
I thought he had no chance today and was able to make lemonade out of lemons. More often than maybe any other person in the country was able to today. I mean, you had I can't remember what it was where he looks right, there's a guy in his face. He looks left, there's a guy in his face. He spins back right, there's a guy in his face. And then he like somehow gets the ball out. He did that like 3 or 4 times today where I was just like this guy's gonna die on the football field with how bad this offensive line is right now. And he was still out there making plays and kept him in it. And um, you know, shout out to him. I wish he had a team around him. If you just put him on Auburn, I think Auburn might be the best team in the country. But unfortunately, Nussmeier plays at LSU, and Jackson Arnold plays um, at Auburn. Moving on to the next game the next big game that happened today, and probably I don't want to say upset of the season, but it kind of felt like that, right? Texas Tech had not trailed before today, and then Arizona State got up off the mat after being completely destroyed at Utah. Like start to finish annihilation. Like no phase of the game went their way in Salt Lake. And they came in, they were up, 19-7 at one point in the game. And it looked like they were going to win an easy one. Granted, Texas Tech did have their backup quarterback Hammond in today. Jack, you've been super high on Texas Tech. What was your kind of thoughts going into the game, and then how did those change after what transpired on the field?
Yeah, I feel like my expectations and Texas Tech's expectations were about the same. It was we are overlooking ASU as a team because you beat a Utah team by 30 who then went and beat Arizona State by 30. And so that's a 60-point difference. And so when you look at it that way, you're like, "Oh, we'll cruise past this ASU team. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing really to worry about." And then you realize that Sam Levitt is a really good quarterback that has a top receiver on his team in
Right.
Jordan Tyson. And so you can't blame Hammond being in because you've won games with Hammond before this season. And so he
Mm-hmm.
can't be the reason why you're saying, "Oh, that's why we lost." It really comes down to I don't think Texas Tech was prepared. I don't think they were ready to play this Arizona State team the way that they needed to play because you saw it in the fourth quarter of how they played. They came back, they took the lead because that's when they finally decided, "Oh, we should probably play some football today." And you saw what Texas Tech could do, but it was just too late. It was too late for them to surge back against the ASU team that is very good and that is very still alive in this Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really what it came down to for me in Texas Tech and why they ended up losing to this really good Arizona State team.
Yeah, I think I agree with most of the points. I mean, Texas Tech, I just expected them to dominate lines of scrimmage. But at the same time, I also knew that Arizona State, it was by far their worst performance last weekend against Utah. I knew they were better on the lines of scrimmage than they showed last weekend, which, as kind of a general rule, and what I'm trying to get better at is, taking every single performance that a team has and not just judging my entire opinion of them on their most recent performance. Like, did I think Arizona State was going to win this game? No. Did I think that Arizona State was probably going to have the ball down a score with Sam Levitt driving? Honestly, I did because death taxes and Sam Levitt down one score driving to win the game because that's all he's done this season. That's all he did last season for the most part. And it's just this guy just doesn't and you see him like when he's playing with a lead, it's like what's going on, dude? Like why are you making those passes? And then all of a sudden he gets behind and like he turns into one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Like it's this really weird like thing with him where he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. He's kind of very like Baker Mayfield-ish where like he's up and down throughout the game, but then at the end of the game if the ball's in his hands, like guess what? As someone who's watched Sam Levitt like week in and week out for the last 2 seasons, I knew he was going to go down and score a touchdown. Why? Because he's done it every single freaking time he's had the opportunity. And it doesn't matter what stage it's on, it doesn't matter who's matching up across the other team. He it's Sam Levitt and obviously Jordan Tyson is the best draft eligible wide receiver in the country. He's probably like second or third best behind, you know, Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate and Ryan Williams. However you want to divvy that up, like you can. But he's so good. He's gonna be a top 10 pick. And Texas Tech, you know, they were good in the red zone. They held Arizona State to 4 field goals, and I thought that was going to be the reason why they won. And then you know Sam Levitt happened. So, but that's a Big 12, man. Like there's a lot of quarterbacks in this conference that if you give them a shot in a one-score game to go and win it, they're going to win it. And it doesn't matter if their record's 3-3 or 6-0 or 1-5. Like there's just quarterback play in this conference, I feel, is at a very, very high level compared to some of the other conferences that we watch.
Right. And that's something that I've really loved about the Big 12 is really from top to bottom, we have a really good quarterback conference, which has been a lot of fun to watch just from top to bottom. But yeah, so let's see. We have we have all the ranked matchups now. I was personally busy watching Utah BYU, and I just kept that on the big screen because I'm a BYU homer. But
Right.
what were your thoughts on Tennessee Alabama?
Dude, you should have joined the bandwagon. 7
Yeah, I
weeks ago,
should.
Jack, when I said that Alabama was still going to win the SEC, I mean, Tennessee
Looking good.
did not belong on the same field as Alabama tonight. So when you say that Tennessee's a playoff team, I just don't see it, man. Like I know they played Georgia well, but outside of that, I don't really see a playoff team in there. I see a team that can score points, but if they can't win a shootout, they're not going to win. And I know you're going to bring up the schedule. The schedule makes them a playoff team, which pisses me off, Jack, because there's so many better teams in the SEC than this Tennessee team, but they're not going to get a chance at the playoff because their schedule is way tougher.
Exactly. That is
And
exactly where I was going with it.
but this team has not looked like a playoff team
Mm-mm.
maybe outside of the first half against Georgia. And I love their skill position players. You know, Braswell is a dude, but they're just the defense is bad. And the offense with Aguilar is just too inconsistent. I don't know if you saw the play before half, but it was 16-7. Aguilar just has to put that ball on the outside shoulder, and this game's probably, down to the wire.
Mhm.
But no, Alabama makes the interception, returns it for a touchdown. It's 22-7, ball game. Like, I kept it on for the rest of the game and was like staying tuned in, but that was a ball game. It's very similar to how I felt about Notre Dame USC. Notre Dame dominated that game from start to finish.
Mhm.
Outside of a red zone interception from Carr and a missed field goal, like Notre Dame should have won this game by 20 points. They only won by 10. Like the one thing I will say about USC, like they don't stop fighting. Like this team is not soft. They're a mentally strong team. They just don't have the guys defensively to slow down Jeremiah Smith and Jadarian Price. But like this USC team fights and they'll fight to the end. Um, but Jack, I think Notre Dame's a playoff team, and if I was looking at long shot national title odds, I'm just saying Notre Dame looks like they lost to Miami game one of the season. They lost to Texas A&M because their holder can't catch a snap, and like
No, yeah.
I
I mean,
Notre Dame was that team tonight.
Notre Dame with Jeremiah Love is just, I mean, 24 carries, 228. Like, come on.
And
This
and
is,
and their second string running back had a bunch of carries too. Do you have his numbers
mhm.
up? What did he have
I just
tonight?
closed it. Let me check.
But he had a 100 yard kickoff return for a touchdown as well.
Yeah,
So like
so 24 carries, 228, and then Price 13 for 87. So I
yeah,
mean, they
and
combined it for over 300
yeah,
yards
and a kickoff return for a touchdown.
and a
Like
kickoff. So
they're good, man. I mean, it took them a minute to find themselves and win a close game, but I mean, the win today was incredible. Like they looked like the best team on the field and honestly looked like a team that deserves to be in the top 5 at the end of the season. They won't be because their resume won't get them there, but you do not want to play that team in the playoffs.
no, I definitely agree, and I mean that's another team that's just going to absolutely wear you out from top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And um, talking about wear you out, we had I was right, you were not right, and
Ugh,
the Georgia Tech Yellow
Duke.
Jackets went into Duke
Yeah.
and just handled them pretty fairly easily. And is Georgia Tech a team that we need to start talking about more?
So I don't know where I fall with Haynes King. I don't think he's I don't think he's great, but that might be his biggest strength. Is that like he's just a solid quarterback and he's tough. So like he'll make plays, he runs the football when he needs to, he hits the open guy when he needs to. They're not like explosive like other teams are, but they just wear you down. They're very physical. Obviously like they beat Duke and Miami lost. So I believe they're the only undefeated team left in the ACC. So like they're in the driver's seat. And I'm telling you right now, Georgia Tech at the end of the season, I think is a
It's
playoff
going to be fun.
elimination game. I think it's a playoff
It's going to be
elimination
fun.
game. Like I think both of those teams, maybe Georgia loses one more, maybe Georgia Tech loses one before the end of the season. But like that game is going to be a playoff elimination game. But like the winner of that game will make it to the playoff. The loser of that team probably will not. And so I was super wrong about Duke. My numbers, my math, it's not 100%. It's not 100%. I'm
It's
sure if
80 whatever percent.
yeah, exactly. And once Duke fumbled the snap and Georgia Tech took it the other way, I knew it was dead in the water. Like
Hmm.
sometimes you know early that a game that you had a premonition about or like kind of had feelings about like you know pretty early on, and once that play happened it was like, oh, it's dead. um
Right.
but
No,
yeah.
I really do like this Georgia Tech team, and I think that Georgia Tech game at the very end of the season is going to be. It's not going to live up to the hype as last year's 8 overtime,
Nothing can.
but no. But I think that game is going to come down to the wire because Georgia was able to escape today with a win against Ole Miss, which is another reason why that game is going to be even bigger because Georgia is going to be one of those other drivers um, in that area as well.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of that game, when Ole Miss is up 2 scores, I believe it was 35-26, right? You feeling like Ole Miss is going to win the
Yeah,
football game? Or
I was
you
feeling good. I felt good for 3 quarters.
I mean, they played
I
perfect on offense. I think
They looked so good.
they didn't get stopped on third down until the fourth quarter. That's how good they were. I mean, I thought Trinidad Chambliss was going to walk out with the Heisman Trophy at the end of the game.
Yeah. No, I loved watching this game, honestly. I mean, it's just the classic shootout as we were expecting. This game was just going to be, I mean, they combined it for 78 points.
Yeah,
I mean, multiple touchdowns every quarter. It's just what you love to see when you're just watching football for fun.
yeah,
Um, Again, just Gunnar Stockton is just a great, really good quarterback.
yeah,
26 of 31 for
yeah,
nearly 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. Just slinging the rock wherever he wanted to go. And that's really what it came down to is Gunnar Stockton is better than Trinidad at the end of the day. And I think that's what killed them in the end is the quarterback play. I mean, he did play
for three
phenomenally, but
quarters.
yes, but Gunnar Stockton, very consistent, 26 of 31, and just an absolute showcase of what he can do. Because I feel like Gunnar Stockton has been overlooked a lot this
He
year.
has. He has. And like I the other thing is I just think Ole Miss's defense is horrible. Like I
That's true.
legitimately think it's horrible. Georgia scored every single time they touched the football today. Not one time did Gunnar Stockton take a snap on a drive and not score points, except for at the end of the game when they kneeled it out, obviously. Whether it
Yeah, they
was
didn't punt.
field goal, touchdown, 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 field goal at the end of half, touchdown, touchdown, field goal. So, I mean, and yes, we've seen Georgia's offense do it. They have some incredible game breakers. It's just I think Ole Miss's defense is worse than Georgia's offense is like amazing, if that makes sense. I mean, I don't know what more you can say than like Trinidad had to be absolutely perfect against a defense that is way better and just wasn't. And Gunnar Stockton just like just didn't make the stupid mistake that was going to kill you. And because he didn't do that, like they won the game, right? And
Hmm.
like Lane Kiffin after another game like this, like are we looking around at the end of this game like, man, I would just love to have a defense once. And I just don't know if that's possible at Ole Miss. They were pretty freaking good last year and still somehow didn't make the playoffs. So it's like, and like, I love Lane. I love a good heel, and he's perfect. But it's just getting kind of same old with Lane, where it's like, okay, we know you're going to come out, you're going to score a lot of points, but ultimately you're going to lose to Alabama and Georgia at the end. And you're just never going to get above. Like, you're just always going to be punching above your weight, and it's never going to go your way.
Right. And that's what it feels like with this Ole Miss team. And honestly, years past as well is they probably spend millions of dollars on offensive players, but they just can't ever get the defense right. And that's what it really comes down to with this Ole Miss team because you know they're going to put up 35 plus every week, but you also know they're going to give up 35 plus every week.
Yeah.
And so it just depends on what side of the 35 is your offense and what side of the 35 is your opponent on. And
Yeah.
so that's what it comes down to is Ole Miss is going to be in a lot of shootouts in the SEC this year because everyone can play offense,
Yep.
but
Except
it comes
Texas.
down to who. That's true. It just comes down to who's able to stop the other one, and Georgia was able to stop Ole Miss twice and make them punt twice, and Ole Miss wasn't able to stop them once. So that's what it came down to ultimately.
Yeah. All right, a couple games we'll hit real quick before we get out of here. Texas beat Kentucky 13-10 in overtime. Texas just I mean they beat Oklahoma. Arch looked good. Took big steps back. I didn't see a whole lot, but there was one point in the
It
fourth
was all.
quarter where he threw 8 incomplete passes out of 9 attempts. Like just bad. I mean, the the unfortunate thing is they have an easy schedule too, so like they could potentially squeak their way into a
I
at
hope
least
not.
I think the problem is they're going to be in the playoff conversation way longer than they should be. Like
Mhm.
it's going to be like November 10th and we're going to be like okay, now Texas is finally dead. But like we're still going to have to be like, "Oh, well they
What
could."
about Texas?
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah,
two teams
sadly.
that two teams that won't be making the playoff this year, Jack, Michigan and Washington. Washington's defense, or excuse me, offense. I mean, holy cow. Try and score a touchdown against a good team for the love. Just
They made
just
Michigan look like prime Michigan out there.
yeah, so is it as simple as this, Jack? Is it just does it just come down to travel because Michigan showed up against USC last week and got completely mollywopped. They were they were just outplayed from start to finish for 60 minutes. And so I was like, man, I think Washington is about the same level of team as USC. Like really good offense, um, better than they have been on defense, right? But Michigan just completely rolled, and it was never close. Like Michigan struggled with Nebraska, and I thought Washington was a better team than Nebraska, right? So does it simply just come down to traveling across the country is just super hard, and we're just gonna have to, you know, accept that Big Ten teams are gonna suffer losses or just look really weird, play really weird football games because of the travel aspect?
I think so. I think it definitely plays a role. I think Michigan at home is a different beast as well. Um, no matter who Michigan rolls out, if they're playing at home, they're a much, much better football team than when
Yeah,
they're on the road. And I think that is one of the biggest differences with Michigan, especially this year with a freshman quarterback. I mean, you're just going to play better at home.
yeah.
It's as simple as that. But honestly, I was never really that high on Washington to begin with. I thought Michigan was going to roll anyway, but to see that they struggled against teams that are probably around the same level as Washington on the road, and then you go and handle business against Washington, it was surprising, and I think that does play a very, very big factor, especially with that freshman quarterback in Bryce Underwood.
Right. Okay. Last game that I want to get into, and I plan to leave this game for the very end because this game was freaking awful. Missouri Auburn. Somehow Missouri wins this game, and Auburn yet again just completely wets the bed. Final score was 23-17 in double overtime. Jack, I'm not sure if you caught a second of this game, but it was freaking awful. Jackson
It
Arnold
was.
sucks. Auburn's field goal kicker went 1 for 4. 1 for 4, Jack. And guess what? I know. I read the Athletic article this year about how like he had like a debilitating like stomach illness and he
Who
can't
cares?
keep on any weight. I don't know how you bench that guy, but I think you have to. I think you have to say, "Hey buddy, like you're inspiring, but you can't kick footballs for us anymore because you cost us a game. You probably cost us another game." Auburn is so bad, and when we wake up tomorrow, I fully expect two people's names to be fired. Billy Napier, you're lucky you beat Mississippi State today, or else you'd also be on this
Mhm.
list. But Jack, I'm not sure if you're aware, but right now as we're taping, Florida State is trailing Stanford 20 to
So bad.
13. 20 to 13. This team beat the future SEC champion by double
Hmm.
digits the first game of the season.
Stanford might be the worst Big Power Four team
Yeah.
this year. Like they are not good whatsoever, and they're beating them.
Yeah. And so I fully expect to see Mike Norvell not coaching football tomorrow. I fully expect Hugh Freeze to not be coaching any more football because look, if Hugh Freeze was a defensive coordinator, you could like sell yourself like, man, the defense is super good. Like all we need to do is find the right coordinator. Well, guess what? Auburn has 3 offensive coordinators or play callers on the staff supposedly, and I guess none of them can coach. Jackson Arnold, I pile on him a lot. I think he's the worst starting quarterback in the Power Four right now because you put like what there's 60 something Power Four teams. You put any other starting quarterback with this Auburn team, oh my gosh, it's not that hard to throw the ball to Cam Coleman and get the ball to all their skill players. They have a good offensive line. They've been in
Hmm.
every single game. They held Texas A&M, a team that scores 45 points a game, to 16 points. They were up 10-0, should have been up 17-0 on Georgia. They should have beat Missouri today. I can't remember who their other losses to. Oh yeah, they got completely screwed at Oklahoma. Like this team should be honestly right in the race with Alabama, with Georgia, with all the other good SEC teams that have a chance to make the playoff, but they're not. And it's a complete disaster show from Hugh Freeze. I don't know how they haven't like the backup quarterbacks cannot be that bad, can they? Like I can't believe it. Like I've seen backup quarterbacks come in G5 games and like look better than Jackson Arnold has because it should not be that hard for them to score points, but it is. It's like trying to think of a good analogy, but it's late. It's like watching someone fight with two dual swords or, you know, watching someone try and cut a potato with the dullest knife you can imagine. And guess what? You just keep cutting your own fingers when you do that. Like I can't think it whatever analogy you can think of, it is worse than that watching Auburn on offense.
Right. And I think it really does all start with Jackson Arnold, and it's his ability to let go of the ball. I mean, he just holds on to the ball so long every play. He just doesn't throw the ball. And so, I mean, that's really what it comes down to for me. I mean, he was sacked 5 times today. Like, it just doesn't really make a lot of sense. When you have a good offensive line, you gotta throw the ball. You gotta get rid of it. But he just continued to take sack after sack after sack, and like eventually you can't blame your offensive line the whole time.
Yeah.
You can't blame your offensive line for scoring 17 points in a double overtime loss. You
Yeah.
blame the guy that has the ball in his hands, and that's really what it comes down to is Jackson Arnold didn't make plays. He didn't get rid of the ball when he needed to, and it cost them probably a few games already this year, and it's probably going to cost them more in the future. So I thought Auburn was going to be able to play spoiler to a few of these teams that they've already played, but um, once again they just can't. They can't seem to get on the right side of the ball, and it's probably going to happen for the rest of the season too.
Yeah. But Jack, let me point at a statistic that makes every single college football coach weak in the knees, right? He has 0 interceptions so far this season, Jack. He takes care of the football.
He threw a
he doesn't
pick. Yeah,
oh,
he had one
maybe
pick today.
oh, he did.
But
Okay,
yes,
sorry. I'm looking at
before today,
his season
yes,
stats. I guess they haven't
that is
updated.
true.
Okay. Like this and this is too much of a deep dive, but one of the biggest things that annoys me about this like new age of college football is every team will just throw screen passes and slants and take like two shots down the field a game because they're so horrified of turning the ball over. You know what I don't like to see? I don't like to see just like sideways passing for the most part and nothing else. Like if you want your offense to be explosive, take shots. Like guess what? Ty Simpson's going to throw more interceptions than a lot of other quarterbacks in the country this year. But you know what that doesn't mean? It doesn't mean he's as bad as those guys because let me tell you what, he's better. And bad things are going to happen when you put the ball out there. But I just, people who look at interceptions and like people, and especially even like smart football people, I feel like are so afraid of interceptions that they will do everything in their power to put their quarterback in a position where he'll never throw an interception. And then we get some really, really bad football, or we get some really, really like conservative play calling. And then that just sucks. But like, and quarterbacks too, like quarterbacks know like if they throw an interception that their draft value is going to tank because no quarterback should ever throw an interception. But that's just not true. Like the great players still throw picks, but guess what? They also just throw 4 touchdowns and have an interception. Like no one's perfect. Let it rip. Throw a pick every once in a while, and I'll live with that. I'd way rather if I'm a fan of a football team, I'd way rather a guy throw a few picks than do what Jackson Arnold's been doing so far this season.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it right on the head. That's the beauty of sports. I mean, you're going to make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. And it's just how can I outweigh those mistakes with successes? And
Right.
that's with touchdowns, that's with big plays, that's with really everything else on the field. Yeah, maybe you're not making mistakes, but you're also not making big plays, which means you're not winning games. And
Yeah.
that's what it comes down to is if you don't make mistakes, cool. You're not giving extra opportunities to your team to the other team, but that also means you're not giving your team an opportunity to go score as well.
Right. All right. Anything else before we get out of here?
One quick thing, the Packers are saying Josh Jacobs might be hurt or might not play due to illness. So that gives you a little hope. And fantasy wise, go pick up Emmanuel Wilson just in
Okay.
case Josh Jacobs does not play. So
Yeah.
there's your quick hitter for the NFL tonight. But that's all I got.
Jacoby Brissett tomorrow officially for the Cardinals.
This is going to be a fun one.
Marvin Harrison's going to be healthy though. So,
He's playing?
yeah, he's playing. He got cleared.
Oh, did
Yeah.
not know that.
So, yeah.
Well,
So,
shoot.
yeah, you should be scared of
I
the
am.
14 points that
I'm
Jacoby
scared of
Brissett and
I'm scared of all the balls that Marvin Harrison is going to drop tomorrow.
hey, you'll beat us by 14 without having to make fun of my baby boy.
He's on my fantasy team, so I can make fun of him.
He's on my team too.
Yeah,
No,
very unfortunate.
Trey McBride's gonna have a big game tomorrow. In a loss, but he'll
He
still
will.
have a big game. All right.
He will.
See you, Jack.
Peace out, brother.
I can't believe Stanford's gonna win this.
Are we still live?
Oh, hit stop.